Time L'chaim, for joining us. No, I don't think so. A special today. The breakfast sponsored Zeichem Nishmas, the Meir B'Shmuel, Mrs. Cantor's husband, whose birthday was this week. Okay, so there's a shaila. It keeps on coming up, and I think we once spoke about it. And so I'm not sure we're going in Ba'omek Yoser and the shaila, and maybe we should. But so someone asked me. He's in Manhattan. He works in a big Hamisha company, and he made a mincha minyan, and then he's joining a minyan. Anyways, there's thousands of Yidden working there, thousands from Yidden. So he joined a Maariv minyan. Okay, B&H photo. Oh, and now there's someone that has a taina. How come we daven nusach Ashkenaz and we say Yiraw Einenu and you don't say it? So he said, I don't say it. I didn't say you shouldn't say it. I finished the bracha Ashkivenu, and I wait quietly for a few minutes till everyone finishes the brachas Yiraw Einenu, and then I say Kaddish. So what does it bother you? No, huh? You wait. It's not worse than he waits. So that could be chelik of the shaila, but he davens nus Chabad Arizal.
Okay.
And this guy says that you're not allowed to not say Yiraw Einenu. You have to say Yiraw Einenu. You're obligated to do so. He's not explaining why he thinks he's obligated. Why should it be such an obligation? So I'll right away put into the question.
Does that minyan daven?
Yeah. Yes. So whatever he says loud, he says there nusach. But he doesn't want to say the birchas Yiraw Einenu. He says, I'm not bothering you. You don't bother me. There's no lumdus. I'm just asking the question the way it's asked. And the questions, there's the Chuvah Shah, by the way, there's a bit discussion Shalos Chuvahs. A lot of Shalos Chuvahs, they say like the Rashba. Can't add. That was the question he was asked. Only Trumas Hadeshin is one exception. You do it that the Trumas Hadeshin cooked up his own question. So a lot of times they'll ask, why did he ask the question this way? And there'll be a whole pilpul. But otherwise, in Shalos Chuvahs, you can't ask, why did the Rashba ask the question this way? That was the question he got. That was just the Heichetimtza. Anyway, so I'm just telling you a Heichetimtza someone asked me this week. So, okay. So this is the question. So I told him right away that there is this is a very Yiraw Einenu. This punkt shaila is a very old shaila. It's a very 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 old shaila, and the so really what's the story with Yiraw Einenu? The story of Yiraw Einenu is that the Torah says that Rabbeinu Yonah explains where did Yiraw Einenu come from. It's not a bracha in the Gemara, and it seems to be a stira to the Gemara. Says you have to be mismach gula l'tefila. The Gemara says Ashkivenu is all a gula arichta damya. The Gemara says in the beginning of bracha Hashem's falsei tiftach. Chachamim made you should say it's a gula arichta damya. So tefila arichta gula arichta. The Gemara said you have to say Gol Yisrael, and right away it's like the king that opened the door, and you right away have to go in. And if the king opens the door and as you're coming in, so the king is not interested in you anymore. It's like, when you talk to someone, you're having an important conversation, and the person picks up a cell phone once, and then twice, and then 3 times, and then 4 times, and then 5 times. Okay, just whatever. Have a nice day. So the Melech Malcham Lochem HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that way. When you mention Gol Yisrael, the Eibishter is ready to hear your tefillah. And if you do say something else, even a tefillah,
you're named before Gol Yisrael, so
no, it's after. Much after. Much after. Way after. So Ashkivenu is already a problem. The Gemara asks, what's going on with Ashkivenu? So the Gemara says Ashkivenu is...
So it's part of Ashkivenu?
Not part of Ashkivenu. Say Baruch Atah Hashem. Once you finish a bracha, you say Baruch Atah Hashem. Nothing can be part. It's not part. We say Baruch Atah Hashem. That's Chazal and Matakin given. The Chazal said Hem Omru, Hem Omru. This was not Hem Omru. No, it's not a Shem. The Hem Loy Omru. So the shaila is how did it fall in? So the Torah says What happened was originally when Ma'ariv was Rishus. It wasn't a chayva to daven Ma'ariv. Klal Yisrael did not accept to daven Ma'ariv. But and the basic nesses usually was not in the city. They used to build the basic nesses outside of the city for whatever reasons. And then they didn't have lights. They didn't have street lamps. It wasn't like we learned a few months ago about Shaul HaMelech that his grandfather was mataken in Eretz Yisrael street lamps that people should walk home safely. There were no street lamps. It was dangerous.
Where is it? Just so I see.
There is no. In the Chabad Siddur, you won't find it.
No, it's not.
The Alter Rebbe took it out.
Baruch Hashem Yom Yom. They say Baruch Hashem Yom Yom.
You have to bring a different Siddur. You can leave this here. You have to bring a different Siddur. Look for Ashkenaz Siddur. You'll find it.
Oh, it's in Shad also.
Oh, look in Sfad. You can have also Sfad Siddur.
Yeah.
Not so. So that's the reason. So,
Okay, you're in a. Yeah, the Gemara doesn't say it, so I don't say it either.
but do you see, Baruch Atah Hashem Shemer Es Amay Shemer Am Yisrael Oad. That's the end of the bracha.
Yeah.
And then Baruch Atah Hashem La'olam Omer V'Yomein.
They don't say it though.
Who does it?
Ashkenaz.
And then
Ashkenaz says it.
Not in Israel. Not in.
Yeah, that's because of Minhag Pro.
so that's the issue. So what happened? Originally they davened the shul, and it was getting dark, and they didn't want to daven too long, so they made a short version of Shemona Esrei. They would say Baruch Hashem Hashem Yisrael Ad, and then they said this bracha Yiraou Inianu, and then they would say Al Kol Masov Iskadol Viskadash. Good night. Well, good night. Everyone went home.
No Shemona Esrei?
No Shemona Esrei. Good night. Everyone went home.
No Shemona Esrei.
When?
What's the point of davening?
That was, I don't know when.
During the Rishonim, during
It's obviously sometime after Chasimus Hashas. That this is what the Rabbi Yonah says and brought in the Tur.
and he endorses that.
No, so he explains that what happened at some point the communities decided to accept Ma'ariv as a choiv. So at that time they said it's not nice what we should erase. We made up a nice bracha, so let's keep it. You have to be mismech gula l'tfila. So this is already a takona. So it's as if it's just like Ashkivenu. And another answer he gave, they were makabel on themselves to say Shemona Esrei at night that they're allowed to still say Yiraou Inianu. In the morning you can't say. Chazal said you have to say Gol Yisrael and right away Shemona Esrei. So you can't make any
Even Kaddish in the morning.
right. You're not allowed. Can't make your own thing. But
Nothing to do with the latecomers?
no, it doesn't do with latecomers. No, this was not the latecomers. This is not like Shabbos when we say an extra thing for the latecomers. This is not. That's what he says. He says this was just their original meaning instead of Shemona Esrei that said Yiraou Inianu, and then they decided to keep it. It was a nice bracha. But he says that Ramban and many other Rishonim said you're not allowed to say it. Says the Blibim, some say it, some don't say it. Here is the chap that the Tzemach Tzedek has. It's unbelievable chap. Tzemach Tzedek, someone wrote that Tzemach Tzedek, there was a machlokes in the shul. Some were saying Yiraou Inianu, some were not saying Yiraou Inianu. So he said, I want to ask you a question, said that Tzemach Tzedek. And so someone said that if everyone is obligated in the shul to say it, because if that's the minhag in the city to say it, so everyone is chayiv to say it. Why? Because loit is going to do. Loit is going to do. Why would you have to go like the minhag? Because there's a Yisrael loit is going to do. You're not allowed to make agudus. The Gemara talks about this in several places in Shas. So Tzemach Tzedek said, let me ask you a question. Simple question. It's a funny raya, but he says, let me ask you a question. It's in the Kehillah in Barcelona, it sounds like they all said Yiraou Inianu. Rabbi Yonah and the Ramban didn't say it. Do you think they always daven Ma'ariv in their own house? They didn't say it. That's what the Rabbi Yonah says. The Ramban didn't say it. He says that the minhag was to say it, and Ramban didn't say it. So he says, what do you think? The Ramban always daven in his house Ma'ariv? I'm gonna tell you daven the shul, no?
I thought if you daven differently, let's say you daven, your minhag is Ashkenaz and you're in this shul, then if you're the chazan, then you do whatever the tzibur does. But if you're when it comes to as a yochid, if you say Baruch Shamar before Hodu, then or Hodu before or whatever.
So now you're asking a separate question. The shliach tzibur. Let's do one thing at a time. Let's talk about the people davening in shul. So he says there's no loitas goy to do, because you see befedish that there was, and another braya he brings is that today it's all been settled already. It was very contentious, this thing of davening Ma'ariv before Shkia, before Tzeisekachov, I'm sorry. So today, most kehilas do, because today the street lamps and everything, it's a different lifestyle. It's easier to, but already from a few hundred years, there were kehilas that were very machmir to daven, say Krishma Ba'inosai after Tzeisekachov. But the original minhag seemed to have been that they daven before. So, but you have to say Shema Bezman. So what are you supposed to do with Shema? So it seems that the Kehila was noyeg, that they davened the whole night of Birchas Krishma Shema, they davened everything. So there's three eitzes that Rabbi Yonah gives. One eitzah he gives is that let them daven the whole davening. You just daven the Shemana Esrei with them. You just daven Shemana Esrei with them. Later, when you get home and it's after Tzeitzek Echavim, you'll say Birchas Krishma and Krishma. Rabbi Yonah. So fragt sich the shaila again. If you're davening in a shul, there's a whole tzibur like this guy to do. They're all davening, and you're saying nothing. You're sitting there, and you're saying Tehillim, Mechitas, Chumash, Tehillim, Tanya. You're doing all kinds of nice things. And when they start the davening Shmoneh, you're davening with them, but you're not saying
Malacha, so the tzibur may not know what you're doing individually. It's one thing if you're the chazan.
Okay, I'm not talking about the chazan yet. I'm talking about the individual.
It's all malacha, so.
I'm talking about the individual.
Ruin the rest of the people in the show because you happen to daven differently.
So I have to make it very clear before we go into the shaila. There's two issues. People like to say it's a minhag. So what's if it's a minhag? The minhag is mechayiv, the people that hold the minhag. So if I come to that place, so there is a thing of loitas goy to do, and there's in you not to make a machloikas. There's two issues. One is loitas goy to do. Loitas goy to do means that we learn it from Megillah. Maybe if we have time, and next week we'll go a little bit more into it. The Gemara says, how is it possible that they made that the Megillah Niklas b'Yud Aleph b'Yud Beis b'Yud Gimel b'Yud Aleph b'Tezvav? How could the Chacham have made such a thing? It's loitas goy to do. That there's pnei kfonim b'nei ayoris, and this are doing this and this and doing that. And the Gemara says that loitas goy to do is only if it's in one city and it's one bezdin, and half the bezdin says to go like Beishama, and the other half says like to go like Beis Hillel. But if it's a two cities, or even one city, but two batei dinim, there's no such thing as loitas goy to do. So the shaila is what's in the same shul. That's what Tzaddik says. It's in the same shul and it's the same minyan. So he says, you see from this two things in the Rishonim, the minhag used to be that everyone davened. Who minhagim they had that many Rishonim felt was faulty, but the minhag was they davened before it says Tzeisekachov, and they said Yiraw Inianu. And there were a few big Rishonim who said, listen, you guys are doing, we're not going to make a Koyraj Godel because there's a limit schools, but we think it's wrong. So we're not going to say Yiraw Inianu. And other Rishonim said, we're also not going to say Shema and Birchas Krishma, we're just going to daven Shemana Esrei. And Mistama, they davened with the Kehila, and they didn't say Yiraw Inianu, didn't say Birchas Krishma and Krishma, and they were not kosher for loitas goy to do. That's number one. So I have to explain it very well. The Rebbe brings in a letter. He says, and he brings. You see that that there's a truma from the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer writes that he has two big rebbes. Very funny is one of his main rebbes was the Afloah. The Afloah was a Talmud of the Magid. He was from the Chabrai Kedisha, and he ended up moving to Frankfurt. Frankfurt, they were not Siddim. There's a whole story about this. One spoke about how this funny thing happened that the Baal HaFlo ended up being, but Meis Hashem Oisazos in the Flo is Beinenu, because he had one Talmud that we know of, the Aflo, as being the Rav in Frankfurt, and that was the Chassam Sofer. That was good enough. It made it all worth it. He had one Talmud. A shliach goes out somewhere in the Chveis, and there's not much happening. Could you imagine? For me, they're the Magid. A lot of them ended up big rebbes, and they had thousands of chassidim. The Hafloah had one Talmud, Sam Sofer. So that's so he writes, and we'll look in the tshuva. Anyway, he writes that his Rebbe and Reb Nosson Odla, these were two Gedolei Yisrael she'enka moisam ba'olam, like unbelievable. These were his two rabbis, And he said they both daven Nusach Arizal. And even though the whole Kihil in Frankfurt davened Nusach Ashkenaz, they daven Nusach Arizal. So the Rebbe says, we see from here that there's no such thing as loit is going to do. However, there's still an issue of not making machloikis. There's still an issue about not making machloikis. There's still, but not making machloikis. That's totally. If you come to a shul and everyone tells you, if you come to a Beis Menachem Mendel, for example, and the Beis Menachem Mendel, there's a policy that when it comes to Kaddish, lasses get it signed ish ve'ir. That everyone could say Kaddish in their nusach, and there's no, as long as they say v'yatzal b'kona v'kara m'shiach. But otherwise, kiretzoin is v'ish. So there's no one could say, if you came to Beis Menachem Mendel and you said Kaddish and you didn't say it nusach Chabad, you're making machloikis. It's not true. There's a Rav in the shul when he says it, everyone is allowed to say it, and the kilos. So we're Michael. Okay, so there's nothing. So now, loit is going to do. There's not shaykh loit is going to do. You're going to say there's a machloikis. So the answer is to the person who's talking, why are you making machloikis? It's not a shul. It's not a kehila that hasn't established. It's it's a camera store. You're standing in the hallway in a camera store. And the guy is davening, and he's letting whoever wants to say Yiru Eneinu, Zok Yiru Eneinu. He has to say it. What's get it on is he has to say it. No one's bothering. You're bothering. You're making machloikis. Stop making machloikis. Yeah, and it's not like if a person walks into Landau's and they have a nusa, he's going to say a different nusa. So besides loitis goidu, he's making machloikis. Because now when the people start screaming, they get out. It's a game from the gas.
Making machloikis is a mitzvah.
making shalom is the biggest mitzvah. So
of course.
So therefore, I think that there's no shy over here. But if you want, I gave already. I made copies. I'll read it very, very fast. Here, the copy that I made from the Rebbe's letter. As I said, maybe next week I'll touch on this whole idea of loit is going to do. V'ayim piskidim l'malat tzemach tzedek, ma'aser Rab megdol Yisrael, shem is a loit is going to do. V'inyonim k'goyel eila, ikeru l'shomer ma'machloikis. The main thing is not to have machloikis. Dover also min ha'toyra l'chol ha'deyes. V'god la'sholom shkol ha'toyra nitlas sholom ba'olim. V'agav sh'asin l'hochim and agel l'nusach ashken asvad, v'ari b'chiluf l'chaveir gam b'zeh, medu b'rabes, medu b'shut ha'metzun b'shul ha'gilyin. Meiser Rav Sherab Nosen Adler, Ubala Aflo over Lifnei Ateva Benusach Seforad, Ubenei Minyan Shaloi is Bal Nusach Ashkenaz. He says that the Chassam Sofer said that his two rabbis, Reb Nosen Adler and Aflo, used to daven Nusach Arizal, and everyone in Frankfurt daven Nusach Ashkenaz, and there was no problem. So you see,
but that doesn't mean that they went to the point of doing it when they were the chazan.
They were the chazan. That's what he writes.
So that
they were the chazan.
More demonstrative than what they do malachash.
Right.
What I was
right. So very good. So from the story of the Ramban and the Ben Yonah, you see that malachash they daven differently. But from the story of Reb Nosen Adler and the Baal HaFlo, you see that they were davening in front of the Amud. And still they daven their own nusach. If you want to look quickly, turn the page to Chassam Sofer. Chassam Sofer writes, "Ikiyose g'ani v'loydata v'chaneach mitois l'ksav kibar uryanu v'nafshe b'shelos edin ke'echad hitris kenegde michel shlei avlet ateva albushe tzemer ba'omri ke'atfilu shebenusach svaret shemispallim hilaelam v'chol b'yotze v'chein alev v'shemer kedai ulo." You can see the Chassam Sofer is getting agitated. There was a minig that they used to wear certain begodim, whatever Jews, and there was a chazaka that there was no shatnez. And this guy said that if you're going to daven in our shul where we daven nusach hari, you have to go to the shatnez guy and check your jacket.
Wow.
Otherwise we don't let you into our shul. So the Chassam Sofer writes. Look at the next paragraph. Hine kvar yilisi daite lechol oimdim lefonei. Here, second paragraph. Vini kvar gilisi daite lechol omdim lefoni kekach kebaltem Rabbi says atzal veheim agoen shechotzet shebegon Reb Nosen Adler ve'agoen rabben shel kol bnei agoy lahafloa. interesting how he writes about these two Rebbes. Usually doesn't write big titles to people. He calls the Reb Nosson Adler chastised Kahuna. Apparently, and the Sitkis was unbelievable. Just to say this, that they say that the Vilna Gaon, didn't think very highly of many people because he himself was. But the only person he thought highly of was Reb Nosson Adler.
Is this about an Adler who had a Chacham Sephardi competition how to pronounce Yidden properly?
I don't know. Could be. I don't know. So it's interesting. You're now. I don't know. And he calls the Haflor Rabban Shel Kol Bnei Hagoyim Hashem Imeim Shasisi Umimkoidem Chatzafti Kol HaNuschos Shav Vezu Kazu V'Kol Sheish Bezu Yesh Bezu She'ein Antonio Yedei Adma Vonim Espalim Al Das Batakne Tfilas V'Nusin Samor Kikulam L'Daverech L'Niskaven K'Gemoy Signen Ech L'Kam Nevim Ve'im Shnei Nevim Misnavim Signen Ech Kikol HaNuschos V'Nusch Ein Ela Signen Ech Mishunem Mechavet Aval Em Oilam B'Kon Ech Shebo Neira L'Kim Arizal Izem v'chike v'tikin kuhu yodeh teichen yadvarim. Uhemed b'sidure kol davar al machoyne v'gila talumas kol nusach ha'i Sfardit. Yan ki hoya Sfardi. Vilu hu hoya Ashkenazi, hoya nimtza b'Ashkenazi, vish kamoy hoya oitzke yoytze b'zeh b'sid Ashkenazi. I think many would disagree with Chassam Sofer. I'm just reading what he said. He said that Arizal, there was no tzaddik like Arizal. So us Ashkenazim didn't luck out. We never had someone like the Arizal that would fix our Sidurim. If we would have had someone as great as that Arizal, he would have fixed our Siddur to be as good. But what should we do? That the Arizal was a Sfardi.
But the Vilna was Ashkenaz.
I'm reading what he said. I'm just reading what he said. Obviously,
the greatest.
Obviously, the Rebbe's grandfather writes in his Akdama for Sefer a totally different thing. That Arizal has said that there's 13 gates and his gate is the best gate. But he didn't have that Kabbalah that some Sefer. Some Sefer said the whole mile of Nusach Arizal is because the Sfardim were lucky. They had someone like that Arizal, and he reviewed the Siddur. He made it perfect. If we, the Ashkenazim, would have had someone as good, such a bomber, like they say in English, such an unbelievable guy, such a Gavra Rabba like that Arizal, we would also have a fixed up Siddur. אבל אין עיתוני יודע לא יצא מנוסח אשכנז. כן, טוב להם לספל מסידור הספרדים, שנרשם שם מוקם היכולס ויחודם על פי אריזל, משהו מימה שספלו אשכנזי, אף מי שגם שם נרמז הקל, ומספל על דס המתקה, הנוסח חייד, מיידי אורץ ספורי. טוב, כם נויך להם לספל על מה שמבינים ממה שמספל על דבר המתוקה. Like I said, many G'dolei so disagree with Chassam Sofer. They say, no, it's not that the Sfardim lucked out that they had the Arizal. The Arizal decided that this is really the Sha'ar HaKollel. This is the main gate. Or whatever, that's the way that some Sefer thought. But the main thing is I want to get to the end of the tshuva. Okay, Moiri Agon Achotsh B'Kun Reb Nosson Adler Hu Ba'atzim Ovel Lifnei HaTeva B'Spal Sfardi B'Nusach Arizal L'chei Moiri Agon Ba'al Afloa כי רק הם לא יספלו בנוסח אריזל, ושום אחד מהאנושים מצורף למניין לא יספלו עם אשכנזי. You hear that? That the other people in the minyan daven nusach Ashkenaz. But the Reb Nosson Adler and the Aflor, they would go to the Amud and they would daven nusach Ari. So the Rebbe is saying, so you see from here, that's not Mashayach Loitis going to do.
So how does he apply? Where does he apply this going to do? If he says that's not a problem, then
it's not the Loitis going to do.
So then, does he lay out where this goes? So it does apply.
It doesn't apply to Gabi Davin. He holds the Gabi Nusach and Davin. It doesn't apply. Elamai. There's no such thing as Loitis going to do. But there is such a thing as Machloikis. Machloikis is the worst thing. Machloikis in the same tshuva we'll see in a second from the Tzemach Tzedek said, I don't think it's a problem. You can have one shul, some say Yiddu and some don't. And whoever goes over to the Amud, he'll daven his way. But the last line of the tshuva, he says, look at the page and I printed out.
There's no one
nusach. But the last line, and look in Aleph, he says, if there's a machloikis, they should split the Beis Medrash and they should make 2 minyanim. And the last 3 lines, al kolponim yasa shalom. The bottom line is it should make shalom. The main thing is it should make shalom. So, no. So I was thinking, I had 2 shilas what the Rebbe is asking, and even that If you read a little light right in the tshuva, he writes, "Yafilu b'nei agon b'almachin alevi l'shina nusach Ashkenazi. Miyad acher p'tiris of bittul hakneses shaloi v'spalul b'beis hakneses shel kahal Frankfurt am Main v'dover yedua mefurs." Huh? The Machin Levi, the son of the Afloa, was there was a special minion that was Reb Nosson Adler and the Afloa, or the Afloa, and he was Mavatal that minion, and he went to daven in the main base medrash, Ashkenaz. So it sounds like at least the Afloa had a base medrash, had a klois, but even though everyone in the klois davened Ashkenaz, but the Reb Nosson Adler, it sounds like he davened in the main shul. Either way, you could ask on the floor. You could say he took him a kleine klois, so he was the boss. And even Reb Nosson Adler, you could say who they say from all Gebel Yisrael, the Gra did not think anyone is Klippus Hashum. Only one person of Nosson Adler. There's a lot of stories about that. The Gra thought there was only one Gadol Yisrael who really knew what he was talking about, Reb Nosson Adler. So can you imagine who he? You can imagine who he was. So who is gonna? If Reb Nosson, can you imagine today? Reb Nosson Adler walked in here and it's gestellt by the Omid. Down whichever nusach you want. Read the wills as quick and as slow as you want. That. So the same thing was Reb Nosson Adler. So I would say that the answer to the shaila is like this. Taki, you're right. Depends why you talk. If you're talking about Loitis going to do, so it makes no difference if your name is Reb Nosson Adler, Moshe Rabbeinu, Loitis going to do, Loitis going to do. But Mitzad Machlokes, you're right. That's why I said that I think if you go into Landau's, you can't say, Reb Nosson Adler used to go into Frankfurt Shul, and there was 1,000 people there in the big shul, and he davened Onusach Arizal, never one davened Ashkenaz. There was not even one Arizal. I bet you there was not one Arizal Sid at that time in Frankfurt. Okay, but you're not Reb Nosson Adler. They were happy to Reb Nosson Adler, but you're not Reb Nosson Adler. Okay. So that's mitzad the machloikis issue. But if you're standing in the hallway of B&H, what do you tell me you make a machloikis? What's the machloikis over here? Where's the dover kavua to say? So most of the time people are davening with Yirav Einenu. So today they're still davening with Yirav Einenu. The guy doesn't want to say because because the Alter Rebbe holds that it's a hefsek. Look a few lines earlier in that in the first in Aleph, 4 lines on the bottom. He writes a beautiful thing. He says, "Besider hishva zeh mamirid v'shamru ba'arvis the Shabbos koydem tefila beberditche v'adu emrim v'shamru v'yeshem gamken kamach shuvim anash v'mispalim gamken v'beis medrash anal v'ein emrim v'shamru v'loy choshev ish shia b'zeh mishum loytes goydedu." He says that there's a famous story that the Alter Rebbe put in the Shabbos davening. The Alter Rebbe put v'shamru. He put it in. But all the Bavagers don't say it. Why don't they say it? Because the Alter Rebbe did a trick. He did a trick. He put in Vishamru because Reb Levi Yitzchak said, how could you not have Vishamru in the Siddur? So Himmel Yerid. When the Yidden say Vishamru, all the angels are starting to flap their wings in heaven. So the Alter Rebbe put Vishamru because Reb Levi Yitzchak said. But he did a trick. The Chassidim should know not to say it. He wrote like this. He says, Minig Oilam, Loimer Koidem Chatzi Kadesh, Baruch Hashem Loilam, Amen V'Yamen, Ubishabes V'Shamru, V'Yeshlem Amashim Yismoichem, Aval Anoigim Shaloyam, B'Choel, Baruch Hashem Loilam, Amen V'Yamen, Nashad, Hefsik, Gam B'Shabes, En Lahafsik B'Psukim. He says, he put it in V'Shamru, but he wrote that if in the weekday you don't say, Yirav Einenu, because you think it's a Hefsik, then you also shouldn't say Vishamru. When you put in the Vishamru, because Rabbi Levi Yitzchak said, how can you not have Vishamru? So Himmel you did.
A lot of people do
There's other psukim, but the Alter Rebbe is masha older. The Alter Rebbe says if you hold it's a hefsek, Shabbos, Yom Tov, it's all it's a l'shitose. The Alter Rebbe says. So. Alter Rebbe. I don't think if he took it out there would be any machlokas. I think he just because and maybe there was a thing like in his mind that if it's in the siddur, at least it's in the siddur. It's like I don't know. It's funny. He wrote it in the siddur, but he wrote very clearly that you should understand not to say it. Right. So the Tzemach Tzedek says that there was the same base medrash. I believe Yitzchak was the Rav in Baditchev. Today he said there's a lot of Lubavitchers that live in Baditchev, and they daven in that shul. And I know for sure they don't say Vishamru, and no one's screaming that it's loitis goyde machloitis. They know the Lubavitchers don't say because the Alter Rebbe wrote this. So what's the big deal? So anyway, let me summarize. Bottom line is.
Sorry, someone. I had a question. Shlomo Kollel.
One second. Then I summarize. So there is two issues why you would have to daven the same as everyone else. Loitis goyde do, and not making machloikis. So the Rebbe holds, it's mechudesh that there's no such a thing of loitis goyde do, even if you're the shliach tzibur. There's no such thing as loitis goyde do. However, the Rebbe wasn't talking about machloikis. The Rebbe wasn't talking about machloikis, and you could easily say that if your name is not Reb Nosson Adler or your name is not Reb Pinchas Horowitz, and you're going over to the Umm and you're saying your own thing, that you're making machloikis, unless the shul policy is that it's a little more loose. And you have to know
that they have a policy
that is loose. 1 second, but if you are intervagans, you're mefort, you're in a station, or in a place where they're working, it's not so kavua. It's hard to say that the shliach tzibur is now making machloikis befrat if he's allowing that whoever has their other nusach to have the time to say it, to machayev him to say it, and he holds that this he goes like the Alter Rebbe. He holds that it's a hefsek. You're not allowed to do it. To say that he's mechuyev to do it, it's not so. Yeah, you start saying about that.
Shlomo Kollel start with Lubavitch.
Yeah,
He got the bracha from the Rabbi.
Yeah.
So how come one of the famous songs as well? V'shameru.
Oh, the Chabad. I hear. It's a good question.
Everybody sing this, but he was
Very good question.
Chabadnik.
But you don't have to sing it between Ashkevenu and the Shmoneh. You can have it between the kugel. You can have it between the lefty kugel and the potato kugel, right?
But they don't know it. They sing it by the tefillah.
Okay, so we'll sing it between
This is the main thing.
Well,
It's beautiful singing.
we'll sing it. We sing. No, but it doesn't matter. But it's a good song. We can sing it between the fish and the meat.
If you go to the gym, you only say that for brain game, Shlomo Kollel.
Yeah, you see over there. Yeah, you see. Okay, let's go quickly. Another two shilas.
What does the word signal mean?
Signal different style.
It's style. Ignoring the style.
Okay, so let me go to
Jim, yo.
Huh?
I'm asking which Jim.
Oh. Okay, it's the Shulchan Aruch Rabbein. Okay, so basically, I just want to read inside. As I mentioned it the other day, and I want to show it to you inside. Something about a righty and a lefty, which I think is really. It's anyone here a lefty?
Yes.
Oh, I'll be negated to you. Very good. Huh? Shmuel is a lefty. So you know what? You should pay attention to it because I grew up in Cheder and everything. I was never taught, until I was, and it's hard to get used to doing other ways. But the emissaries, besides film, there's basically the bottom line is like I mentioned the other day, and I want to read it inside. What seems to me a very rational thing to remember. So this way, there's hundreds of details, but. A mitzvah you have to do with your choshev hand. To most people, what's their choshev hand? Right. Their right hand. Oh. Take a lulav, everything you do with your right hand. A mitzvah you do with your right hand. But a person who's a lefty, which is his choshev hand? His left hand. So the gabi, everything you should really, a lefty, as a yotzim and a klal, by the way. When you're doing oiseh shalom, I won't have time to talk about it today, maybe next week, but you're supposed to use your clumsy leg first. Because you're going away from the melech, you're supposed to use your clumsy leg first. So you use your left. So a lefty uses right leg. But then a klal, when you do a mitzvah, you have to do a choshev. Then there is when you magbir chesed and gevura. There's thing of pikabola, you have to be or there's certain things that then you don't look a righty and a lefty. It's not me. It's chesed. When you're talking about being magbir chesed over gevura, we're saying that a pikaboli should put the jacket like this. So you don't say, a lefty should put his jacket like this.
Never make it.
Chesed is the right. Gvura is in the left. They're not right. Agam, there were early poskim that thought that lefties, that they're the hipochevorim, but it's been proven scientifically it's not that way, even though there is such a condition. There is a medical condition that the Evorim Apnimium could be Mahupach, but it has nothing to do with being a righty or a lefty. There are type of people that they're,
What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about.
there is a medical condition where they, yeah,
What?
the heart is on the other side. The Evorim Pnimium are Mahupach,
Yeah.
not like most people. It's a rare thing. It has nothing to do with being a righty or a lefty.
Yeah.
It's nothing to
I
do.
remember that now.
So most people, so if you say Leif Chochem Liyaminoi, your Yetzirah is still on your left side. Doesn't matter if you're a righty or a lefty.
It will get you anyway.
But that's the way it is. So therefore, this is, I think, a klal gadol. But there's there's two things that I want to show you inside. I want to read it quickly, and then I want to get to a quick shaila, and then we're done for today. Loylom yaktav adam yamin al smoilem b'chol davar l'fi sheminach tshuva b'chol davar. A Kollel linyan avoid linyan boyin. It's a geshmaka thing. The Alter Rebbe fleshes it out and explains. The Gemara says loylom yaktav adam yamin al smoil. But why is it that a person should magdam yamin? So the Alter Rebbe says l'fi sheminach tshuva b'chol ha'toyra kula. Number one, linyan avoid of the kohen uboyin yad uboyin regel b'miluyim. When the kohenim were made kodesh ubemitzoyda v'chem b'chalitza lekach yesh lo'adam gamken lach lekoved liyamin le'olam. I think sheyinol min olav yinol shel yamin tchila. When he puts on a shoe, put on the right shoe. Shechoyletz koylet shel smoil tchila. Shezok foyda shel yamin. Umin olam sheyesh b'hem kshira yinol shel yamin v'lo yiksherenu. V'achach yinol shel smoil v'yiksherenu. V'achach yiksher shel yamin v'nei shel kshira. Yeshlach lekoved l'smoil cheshuva b'toyra linik kshira is tefillin. Achmin olam shehem b'hem kshira. Yinol shel yamin tchila v'chein shalovetz chaluka v'shar malbushav yilvish yad yamin tchila v'chein b'michnasayim v'ampilos regel yamin tchila v'im yesh b'hem kshira yiksher shel smoil tchila. I mentioned it Wednesday night at the Baron of Bells when he used to have the like Weiße like in your pants you have a bow. So he used to be makfit to do like the Alter Rebbe said, to do is to tie the bow on the left foot first. That v'chein kisheroichet zaysoch yosach yirichet zayosach yad yamin tchila v'chein kisheroichet kol guf v'merchet yirichet zaroichet tchila b'nei shumelcha kol ha'varim. Okay. The Alter Rebbe says in Siman Dalet, "Shu noitel yodov tzorich little yad yamin tchila." Tamshin is bar b'siman beis. You have to first wash your right hand. This din is such a big mevuch in the poskim, but the Alter Rebbe in 3 lines makes it sound so simple. You have to, the water has to come in your right hand because that's more kosher. Because that's more kosher. Lefi shetoivu shemin yad yamin yovei amayim al yodav l'taharim mitamshin is bar b'zoyar. The water is supposed to come on your right hand from your right hand. How are you supposed to do that? Like the Kohen Gadol, it's supposed to put it in your right hand, take the negelvasa shish, throw it up in the ear, and then put your hand in. Most people don't know how to do that. How are you going to do that? So therefore, lafikach yitel kli shel mayim biyad yaminuk v'noisnoi l'smoiloi kedei sheyishpach mayim al yaminuk tchila. So therefore, this is already the base. Yosef goes through chastised because the Zohar, all the points. The Alter Rebbe is just summarizing in a very clear way. There's even later poskim don't understand. They're saying in the Gemara when in Samach Aleph, the Ein Mishpat, when it says you have to bathe and wash your right hand first, it says Ein Siman Al Dalet B'Orachayim. So the Shem Shimon asks, I don't understand. Over there is talking about bathing, Divrei Rishus, not for a mitzvah. But you see the Alter Rebbe like Nishtazoi. The Ein Mishpat is gerecht. The Gemara was talking about everything, bathing, washing. You always have to wash your right hand first. The Zohar says that the water on your right hand should come from your right hand. So you pick up the kvort from your right hand, you give it in your left hand, and then you wash your right hand. Now that you understand this, you understand why he was medayik to say, look. He said, why did he say look in Siman Beis? He wanted to, you should understand that the chshivas of the right hand here has nothing to do with Hapi Kabbalah. It has to do with Poshet, that the Gemara says that there's a chshivas to the right over the left. Okay.
Wait, lefty does the same thing.
So what does a lefty have to do? So now that you understand this, you understand that it's very simple. A lefty doesn't have to have a sing and dance. You pick up the kvort on your right hand and you wash your left hand. That's it.
You do your left hand first.
Yeah, you pick up the kvort with you. It's easier, simpler. It's much simpler. There's two things with simple. Also, Menoida is much simpler because there's a whole shaila about Ema Vida and Ala Mitzvah is the way we do it. But if you're a lefty, there's no issue. You don't have to. Yeah. So that's the bottom line. But that's the Mishnah Berurah Taka Paskin is not that way. Look in the Tzemach Tzedek. Tzemach Tzedek says.
So you're saying you take your hand with the right hand?
A righty or a lefty?
Right-handed, right?
A right-handed. It takes the kvort with the right hand,
Yeah.
Give it to the
gives it to the left hand,
Yeah.
and then washes the right hand.
Okay,
But a lefty doesn't have to have the sing and dance
right.
because he
That's
just picks up with the right hand. Because a pikaboli is supposed to pick up the kvort from the right hand. But then there is which hand gets washed first. Whatever to you is more your right hand. Look in the Tzemach Tzedek, next piece. I'm prima godem b'mogen Avram. Reish Shemekuf Nun Ches Gaben Netilas Adayin Kosher Pshita Zagam B'ita Yad Basa Yamin de Almaz Linen. Veine Muchrich Klal the Latur Even Ezer Vade Basa Yamin de Deyaz Linen. Kenis Kalil. It's a very long tshuva. It's not negate the whole long tshuva because just for this is negate these few lines. The Adarabba, Maishna Melulav, the Kaimelon Anoita Lulav Bimina to Samuel Kalada. That we see Gefedish in the Gemara that a lefty has to take the lulav in his right, which is Samuel Kalada. Afla Soivim Bechalitza Kesmag, Moidem Belulav, because Chalitza is a Yoitzim and a Klal, Mishum the Basa Chashivus as Linan. Vuadin, Lini Natilas Yadayim. Right, the lefty, that's a Befedish Gemara. No one can argue with it. Right.
For a lefty.
Right. The lefty takes the esrog, it takes the lulav, which is the main thing with the three in his left hand.
Yeah.
And
say the other way around.
right, it's the other way around.
And
Why?
esrog in the right hand.
Why do we?
Because he has to do his choshev hand. When you do a mitzvah, you have to do with your choshev hand.
Esrog is a choshev.
No, the lulav and the because the lulav and the adasim they have three and that's one.
Okay.
Shulchan Aruch Siman Daled right notes so klishal mayim biyad yamina v'noisel yad smel kshiyorek mayim al yamina tchila. The Mishnah Berurah he writes v'noisnik that she's gaber yamin shu chesed al smel shudin v'gam bi'iter as linen basa yamin da alma. So it's very funny. I'm totally amused over here. I think that Tzemach Tzedek is going to tell the Mishnah Berurah, listen, you know what? Keep on writing Shulchan Aruch. Don't tell me things about Kabbalah. It's very funny that Tzemach Tzedek now saying that there's two things. There's the Zoyar, which is who's the koyak that's giving the water, and then there is then who gets washed first. Who gets washed first has to be Biyamin the day, and you're right. If you're righty, it's your right hand. If you're lefty, it's your left hand. It's nothing to do with being magbir chesed over gevura. Has nothing to do, and that's taka the shit of the Ein Mishpat in Daf Samach Aleph in the Gemara that he sees when the Gemara says the Reichetz Yamin Tchila that he says Siman Daled b'Shulchan Aruch Erechaim, because in his mind it was also that way that when the idea of washing by Natilas Yadayim, the right or the left has to do with everything else with right and left, which has to go with your chashivas, and therefore the Tzemach Tzedek holds that so it would be a nafkamina. According to the Mishnah Berurah, a lefty does like everyone else, but the Tzemach Tzedek
Which one?
when in the Natilas Yadayim
Washing.
or washing, but the Tzemach Tzedek and the Alter Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek is clearly, but even the Alter Rebbe it's mashma that way because he says through noitel yodav tzarech little yad yamina tchila. Why? Metamshin is more b'simen beis. What is the pshat metamshin is more b'simen beis? Like the Gemara in Shabbos daf samach aleph on the beis. Don't tell me kabbalistic things here. Don't talk to me Kabbalah here. There's nothing to do with Kabbalah. Metamshin is more b'simen beis. And the Gemara Shabbos daf samach aleph on the beis, which is akdamas yamin. So it's a very funny machlokes. So the Mishnah Berurah says, oh, everyone does the same thing. Why? Because it's a Kabbalah. But the Tzemach Tzedek and the Alter Rebbe, I think this is an exception. I think if the Mishnah Berurah had a conversation with the Tzemach Tzedek, it would probably be masking. There couldn't be a bigger expert in Kabbalah than the Tzemach Tzedek. Tzemach Tzedek makes it very clear that there's two things that don't mix them up. The koyach of the mayim that the Zohar is talking about is which hand is pouring the water. But which hand should get washed first, that has to do with the regular thing of Akdamas Yamin. And if you're righty, you're righty. And if you're lefty, you're lefty. So here, all the people have a sing and dance. But a lefty is very easy. You take the kfort with your right hand and you wash your left hand. Okay, let's go to the last shaila. Someone asked me a funny shaila. He came to see him Sefer Torah, and there is now an independent candidate running for president, Robert Kennedy, which is an unbelievable exception that usually the third party is a stamayukal that doesn't get a fraction of 1%. And it's an unusual thing in America that the third party candidate should bichlal pick up any traction. I guess the other two options are so not attractive right now that there is room for a third party candidate. So the seat came to a shul, I think it was a basic Chabad even, and in this basic Chabad there was a Sim Sefer Torah. He came in again the Shegitz, Robert Kennedy, and they gave him a kibbutz to write one of the letters Besim Sefer Torah.
Does that trade the Sefer Torah?
So the question is, make the Sefer Torah today. So the truth is, in Gittin Daf Me'amid Beis Machloikis. But what do we pass in Shulchan Aruch? We pass in Streif. The halacha and Simon. Look in the last piece over here. Oida Chaim Simon Lamates Ifalov Tefillin Shekotzen Evet Nani or Isha or Cotton. If a guy writes it, or a cotton afila ben yud gimel shonim ela sheini yadu bevadish heavy base sides vadain ene ben chai shona shenuch loima min astam heavy kvar shnei sides or shekos from goyo kusi afila kosum befedish lishmon or shekos from yisrael mumer l'chol hatoyda afila l'tiyoven afila l'veida achas l'sheina l'tiyoven or a yidam was a mumer if it's l'chol hatoyda if it's l'tiyoven. Or that it's not that he has any against Judaism. He just likes cheeseburgers and he likes to watch television on Shabbos. Not that he has anything against the religion. He doesn't care that Rabbi Shalom said not to drive on Shabbos. He drives on Shabbos. I mean, the driving Shabbos not as a connected kola to the kola, whatever. He does not eat cheeseburgers. He eats it not because he likes it, because he doesn't care. He has a good burger that's without cheese. If he is in the part, if he's putting on tefillin and he believes in the tefillin, then he's allowed to write the tefillin. So the bottom line of the halach is that if a goy wrote even in the Ketz HaSofer Shlomo Ganzred writes that they have to be very careful, the Mazah, the Soifrim, sometimes they have their wife or their children help them a little bit. The Chatz V'Sholom not allowed to let the Sofer has to be a Yid, not a Goy, and he has to be a Godel, and not an Isha, and not a Cotton, and you have to be very nizir in this. By the way, there was a terrible thing that happened a few weeks ago. I wanted to ask Pat really to post it, maybe we should still post it. Apparently, somewhere in Ukraine, there's a Yid. He became Baal Tshuva, and he was from. Oh, you had someone posted it? Oh, okay, very nice. It was on a nash. Yeah. So you saw it.
He went off the derech.
And he went off the derech. He's married now to a shiksa, but he has a beautiful ksav. And living somewhere middle in Ukraine near Poltava. Yeah. And he lives in a place there's no Yidden B'chlal. So it's like, it's already suspect. Was lebst du dort? Was in Yidden? And it's been proven that he's living with a Shiksa Rahman al-Atzlan. And it sounds like he's a Mumar l'chol HaTorah. So anyway, I'm just saying that there were Rabbanim that looked into it and they decided that he's considered a Mumar l'chol HaTorah and his Ksav is possible, and they published things. So he has a very nice Ksav, and it's easy to tell his parashiyos. So whatever time this is an alert that's important. Rahman al-Atzlan.
You put for 20 years.
And no one chapped it. How could no one chap it? Yeah, in the article. They started to ask questions of us, and this guy got agitated. He said, "You don't want my stuff, I'll sell it to someone else." So this guy is this guy is getting so defensive. So he called a few rabbonim. What's going? First, where do you daven? Where does he go? So it turned out this guy's living with a shiksa and living in a town. There's not one yid there.
No, we didn't know.
Yeah. So, huh? It's a good business. Come let's learn. So
Was it online and anonymously? It's in your
they had it in Europe. They had it in Europe.
Wow.
They said in this article in Anash that there was one of the Gedolei Yisrael before the war tried to make that kilo just like a shchita today. You don't buy meat just from a butcher. You have what's your hechsher? Well, who's your hechsher? There's achtas rabbonim. Is your huh? And they sort of have to have Kabbalah and Eidah. So they tried to do it with Safras, Absinishtois Garbet. The truth is, a few years ago, about 30, 40 years ago, in Bnei Brak, Rabbi Landau, all of us Shalom tried to make Taka Mochen. And the problem is that people don't want to pay the extra few dollars. And my cousin, who's now the Rosh in Kfar Chabad, was running that Mochen for many, many years. It's still around. It's called Rabbi Landau's Mezuzahs.
Where
it's a Bnei Brak.
Bnei Brak.
You can buy all over. You can say, I want Landau's Mezuzahs. Just pay an extra $1 or $2. What they do is they check that the Sofrim are Shedim Yerushalayim. They double check. Even the Sofer says, I double check that they still have a Sofer in-house. So they have to charge an extra few dollars for that. So the Mela, it's a little more expensive. The Landau film Mezuzahs, v'chulu. But you know, whenever there's a scandal, so more people are buying it's very hard for that mochen to operate because there is, when things get quiet, no one wants to pay the extra few dollars for it. That's the thing. Anyway, back to Robert Kennedy.
He trafed it?
If he wrote really a letter, he for sure trafed it. However,
Sorry,
wasn't there. The person told me.
What state or where?
I don't know. What's the difference? He's running in the United States, in all the states, basically. If he really wrote a noise, it's possible. The thing is that there's a trick. There used to be that the 20, 30 oasis, they used to give machabit to people to write. And there's all shalos trivas about it. There was once it was a whole thing that they found the Sefer Torah, and the shaila was who wrote it. One of the Gedolei Yisrael, I don't remember who it was, said that, look, if you see the last 30 oasis are like funny, so tzarayah that it's a kosher Sefer Torah, it's meaning Yisrael that today they don't give it to people to write there. The kosher, maybe the guy's not kosher. The Sefer, you're doing nothing. You're tickling the Sefer while he's writing. You're doing nothing.
We just wrote in my building Sefer Torah for Be'eri by Burstyn, and I was the last one that came here, and the software took my hand.
It's garnished. Okay, but so therefore the Sefer Torah is probably kosher. However, I want to be Messiah with a story, and you'll know what the answer is. So I don't know if he wrote it. It's possible. If the Sofer wrote it, Robert Kennedy put his hand on his hand, it's kosher. However, even if it's kosher, I want to tell you a story. Avram Shem Tov, who is shliach in Philadelphia for many years, many accolades v'chulu, and he's chairman of Friends Lubavitch in Washington, v'chulu. And he came back very proud. He had the president of the United States, Jimmy Carter, came out to the White House together with him, and they lit the menorah. And he was very big. He came to the Rebbe. He was very proud. And the Rebbe asked him, he wants to hear all the details of what happened. So he said that they lit 4 candles. And Jimmy Carter said, Rabbi, why can't we light all 8? So he said, because it's the 4th night of Hanukkah. Rabbi, could we please light all? We need extra light. Then there was the story.
It's a lot more than that.
The embassy was
we need
captured by the Iranians.
Yeah, that was that time. So we need extra lights. So Rabbi Shem Tov thought to himself, hey, someone that's a Mahadarim, what? So it's like a fair luck.
Let him light it.
Let him light it. So he lit the other 4. The Rebbe said,
this is in public, so anyone passing by will think it's the 8th night.
Right. So this is Alpinigla Hakira this way, that way. So if you're Yotzed, they could. We saw Ksav Sofer, a tshuva, that he says that if you do 1 candle, you do 1 candle. But if you're doing the wrong number, then it's not a puzzle.
It sounds like Baltosif.
Right. So you threw it off. If you do 1 candle, you do 1 candle. If you want to do 1 candle for everyone, 1. But to do the wrong number, you can't. Okay. We spoke about it. Okay, not everyone you can disagree with the Ksav Sofer, but that's not what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe didn't go into the pilpul. The Rebbe said, from you, I expected better. That was it. Yeah,
And when
from
the Rebbe
you,
says that,
I expected better.
Wow.
God.
So,
And he later told the story to everybody?
yeah, he told the story.
No, he told the story.
He told the story. Yes, he told the
From
story.
Russell.
And no, not true. That's how you do tshuva.
Yeah.
So he told the story. So definitely that the Sefer Torah is kosher. But if it wasn't a Chabad house, I think the Rebbe would say to the shliach, from you I expected better. Okay, the Rebbe shall helfen. Should be Adar lo yoda. This candidate, the other candidate.
Trump has to sign a letter because the Kennedy did it.
No, chas v'shalom.
Yeah.
A goy is a goy. It doesn't matter what the name is.
Even if he has Jewish grandchildren.
Yeah.
That question, someone asked me yesterday. Imagine a show. But he asked me, you're talking to Torah reading, I'll have you do Pacific, right? And then when the time came for Pacific, this guy had to go to the bathroom, so he the guy had someone else do Pacific. Can he then have the other guy close it, or the guy who did the Pacific has to, when the ark comes back, take it and put it in the and close the
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I would think it's not connected. I don't think it's like sometimes we say a maskal b'mitzvah. I'm like no gemara. I don't see that there should be one mitzvah.
really.
Don't see that. Right here, there's a smart right here.
But you never heard anything about it.
No, I hear what you're saying.
First of all, yes, correct. I'm saying they ever. I get the same story.
Yeah.
Oh, the Floyd. Oh, how you say?
How would you say that to somebody? I want somebody would say, what does that mean? I couldn't think of it.
Google translates.
Yeah? They translate English? Oh, yeah. My was shown. He had a story. His name was Bayan, if I remember correctly. He said, Bayana said to me, he's a connection with Bayana Rebbe.
Wise grandfather.
But I went to it. But he said,
Yishikoy, everyone joining us.
Levi Rabinowitz was Carter's political consultant,
Yeah.
very close to the Rebbe, and he put Carter in jeans.